Season 5 of The Score, the Team Roping Journal's podcast, where we cover the roping industry from top to bottom. This is where the team roping world talks. We talk through tough subjects, we talk big wins, and we talk real issues affecting the community. I'm your host and editor of the Team Roping Journal, Chelsea Shaffer. Hey everybody, this is Chelsea Shaffer. Welcome to a bonus episode of The Score. This is a full-length, exciting off-week bonus episode of this show. We don't do these too often, but we've got some big things happening that I need to tell you about and an interview or two that you need to listen to. So if you have been paying attention to the last few episodes, we have been dropping interviews with the winners of the Riata Buckle with our friend Drew Stewart. He's been filling in for me because he talked to all these folks right after they won. You can check out their videos of their interviews at Riata Buckle on Facebook and on Team Roping Journal and roping.com's Facebooks. And you can also watch them all win the roping over at roping.com. We were the exclusive live stream of the Riata Buckle, so you can catch up on all the action because there was a lot of it, let me tell you. So as the event wrapped up, we sat down with Lance Robinson and Denny Gentry, the founders of the Riata Buckle. And then later, you'll actually hear from me talking to Chad Beus, who is another one of the founders of the Riata Buckle. Chad and Lance, they were the founders of the Pink Buckle and the Ruby Buckle. It's Chad's model that he brought over from the halter world. Pink Buckle and Ruby Buckle, of course, are in the barrel racing land. If you've been paying attention to anything we've been doing over at Barrel Racing Mag, we cover that pretty heavily. But then this Riata Buckle, we have been talking about it with Denny and Lance since it first kind of started to simmer back about a year ago. We dropped the information about it on one of the first days of the NFR last year, and their phones rang off the hook at the office for the Pink Buckle for people wanting their studs in. And then over the last year, we have updated you all with Denny as far as what was going to happen and what changes they were making and how the program was developing. Fast forward to the beginning of this month, November 3rd through the 6th at the Lazy E, they paid out $2 million to stallion owners, to breeders, and of course to the ropers themselves at this new stallion incentive event that really kind of shook the industry. There have been people, I don't think my phone has ever rang so much in the week after the Riata Buckle because people were so engaged in what was happening. So now Denny and the crew at the office have put together some numbers. So if you were paying attention, you noticed the first two ropings were won by offspring of Hickory Holly Time. And if you were watching any of those short round introductions, it was by Hickory Holly Time, by Hickory Holly Time, over and over and over again, which was really impressive. He had gone from 13th in the Q data standings the whole way up to 4th with how much his offspring won. And that number, Hickory Holly Time's horses, brought home $155,000 at this event. I know Dean Dufton was super excited. We talked to Dean a lot throughout the last week and a half, and he is just pumped for the way his horses' offspring have performed, and they showed up and showed off at the Riata Buckle. So we're going to have the full list of all of the top horses, the top riders, all of that stuff. I'm going to start to slowly roll out online, and then I'm going to roll it out in the February issue of the Team Roping Journal. Just for a little primer, we are working on the January issue that will have all the World Series, a Team Roping finale, and NFR coverage that's going to happen in the next couple weeks. And then after that issue closes up, we're going to dedicate lots and lots of space to all that happened in the Riata Buckle because the February issue is also our breeder's guide. So team ropers, because you are all kind of late adopters to this whole breeding pedigree phenomena, we do the Breeder's Guide in February every year. It started out as a small project a few years ago, 18 or 20 studs in it. And it was just kind of priming the pumps for the future of the sport as we saw it back then. And I don't think we could have guessed at how big it was going to get because there are 155 stallions in the Riata Buckle. We might find out, who knows how big it's going to get. But I know when Denny says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He wants to have a massive event that's got a country club feel because you've got to be riding a Riata Buckle horse going forward at these events. They're figuring out what they're going to do with the help horses. The help horses, if you could see me right now, I'm making quotes because they're just the unnominated horses that were part of the program this year that were allowed to rope. So there's a lot of details with the Riata Buckle that Denny and Lance and Chad and I talk through in these interviews that follow this introduction. But there's going to be a lot more that we're going to know in the next couple months, because we are in uncharted territory with what's happening over here in Riata Buckle land. And I want you to all get to enjoy the information that Chad and Lance and Denny are about to present. So without further ado, enjoy this episode of the Score bonus episode with the founders of the Riata Buckle. Okay, we're recording this on Sunday morning at the tail end of the Riata Buckle. Do you have any, what is your first impression or your weekend-long impression?
We're happy. It turned out. I think it exceeded our expectations. I don't know how you felt, but I felt we went way beyond where we thought we'd be the first time out.
I think we went way by our expectations. The part of it that I liked about it is there was such a feel of energy here. And people seem to embrace the concept and what we're trying to do, and everybody seems to want to be a part of it. And we all play in this industry, and it's all important to us. And a lot of us, it's our livelihoods. So anything that can move that and press that forward is something that we all want to kind of get after and embrace.
The one thing that I believe that I saw come to fruition here this weekend is that same horses, same riders, same trainers at futurities all over the country, the top and the top horses and the top people. There's something when you put that money up and you've got them in a competitive environment, that electricity comes on. You can just feel it in the air, and it's not putting down anything that anybody else does. I just know that is a thing that's always been there, and I felt it right here. It was different than a futurity.
Well, and one thing that you had said, I don't know, 6 months ago at least, was that you thought there would be high number guys and horse trainers looking for low number guys to get on their horses. And I don't know about you, but I know like Wednesday and Thursday I was getting phone calls from open ropers trying to figure out how the lower number stuff worked. And by the way, do you have any sixes? Do you know any fours? Like looking for people. Did you experience that?
Yeah. If you look at the Twisselmans, all the teams they mounted, and Quinn Kessler and even Jim Brinkman, I think Jim had probably 7 to 8 guys in every rope and mounted, including the CO there at AQHA and Jeff and all of them. I mean, a lot of those guys that had the horses had a whole lot of people on their horses. Yeah.
What were some learning curves this weekend? Anything you think you've just kind of ruminated on and want to do differently next time around?
We'll tell you in 2 months.
Why are we waiting 2 months?
Because it needs a night or two.
I get it.
No, I mean, there's always things to improve on, but we have a lot of really good help here that made it go off. I mean, even the chute help here, it's miraculous how they kept things going. Yeah. And you can see they take their job serious. They're professionals, and everything went smoothly for us. It went off without a hitch, but it's because of a lot of good people. But there'll be some changes that we can look back and say, did we do better here? Did we make a mistake there? Is there something we can make better? And that's what we want to do.
The question around I was visiting with some sponsors and some folks last night, later into the evening around the table, and they were grilling us basically, what's the next Riata? Is there going to be one next year? Are there going to be 6? What's the next evolution?
We're working on that. We've got a more grandiose plan than that, and we would like to do something that made these horses valuable all over the United States at every rope, and that's the approach that we're going to take for a while until we we either want to work within the industry, within Equine Network, and get that to happen, and if not, then we will pursue the same quest on our own. But I don't want to have one or two events. I want to make it where the earnings for all of these horses can apply to any jackpot they go to. And we can take and start to attack that $70 million that exists out there and get those on those stallions' records.
What have you heard from the stallion owners this weekend? Have you gotten any feedback from stallion owners throughout the weekend?
There's a number of stallion owners here that have talked to us, and they've really got behind it, and they're real appreciative of being able to be in this program and move things forward. I think a lot of us have bred horses and wanted to be part of that, and I think there's even breeders now that will breed, just like Denny said. They might not necessarily be ropers, but they want to hang on to some of these to see what they can make them work. If they have a brood mare that has really, really nice foals, they want to kind of control the destiny of those horses, where they go and what hands they get into, so it creates value in their breeding stock.
Yeah. Every stallion owner that was here seemed extremely excited. The only thing I wish that we would have had the other 90% of them here to see what these others saw, and then I think it would have meant a lot more to us. But I don't think, as far as the people, the stallion owners that were here, they were all ecstatic. So I mean, it went well.
I couldn't believe, I write about all of these futurities all year long, and some of the different names that I got to write about as far as the stallions was really cool for me. I mean, there was lots of great stallions that we all knew about for a long time that were highlighted here, but then also some of the ones that were early adopters of y'all's program that showed out here. I know the 7S horses were all phenomenal yesterday. And the Tongue River horses were huge, so that was cool to see. Very cool. Denny, you've always had a lot of thoughts on the higher number, lower number situation. This was an event that had enthusiasm across the board, from the higher number guys and the lower number guys. How did you see that?
Yeah, you're right. It was. In fact, we were a little bit surprised. Of course, we analyze it now. We know where it came from. But we were surprised that the 12 slide was so much larger than the lower slide, and we got to the bottom of that. But from a money perspective, you're going to see us balance it out, using the money to balance these divisions out, and I think that's going to be one of the things that we're going to talk about for next year. We'll start off initially guaranteeing the same amount of money that we did, and then if we got nominating money available, then we'll start to talk about more. But I think initially we'll start right where we're finishing right now and say, okay, we're in for $2 million next year, and then we'll evaluate middle of the year.
Before we get too far into the episode, I want you to know about the program that we have run all year and who supported it. We have been covering the futurity business from top to bottom since February of 2022. And that has been on The Score. It has been on teamropingjournal.com. It has been on roping.com and across our social media. That means our team has been at most of the major futurities. If we weren't there, we wrote about it. And we covered it with the winners. We covered the stallions that were performing. If you checked out the October issue of the magazine, that had a huge feature on the American Rope Horse Futurity Association. That effort was sponsored by people within the industry that really believe in the future of this rope horse game. So that is a special thank you to Resistol, to Fastback Ropes, to Cactus Ropes, to Cactus Saddlery, and Equinity. They have all supported this program all year long. We are so grateful for them. Of course, we work with all of those products all year in all kinds of different avenues, but they jumped on board very early in the year and said, hey, we really believe in what you all are doing. We believe in the future of the rope horse market, and they deserve a special thank you on this episode of the podcast. Cactus Ropes, of course, they've had lots of people with lots of success in this business. Cactus Saddlery too. You know, we talk to the Relentless Bermuda, we talk to Trevor Brazil and Miles Baker all the time. They're featured on roping.com and in Team Roping Journal. And of course, they are sponsored by a lot of those companies. Equinety, they've supported a lot of our programs, and they've kept a lot of these rope horses healthy with their amino acids. So check them out at teamequinety.com. And Resistol, they have been with us since the very beginning on pretty much supporting all of our initiatives. They are here for the industry. They are authentic, and they believe in the growth of the sport. Fastback Ropes has Dakota Kirkenschlager, who is one of our favorite trainers to work with in the futurity side of things. Reliance Ranch's Bobby Moat is also a Fastback endorsee, and we got to watch his horses. Man, they could really perform amazingly at the Royal Crowns this year. We have had so much fun with these advertisers, supporting this industry, covering it in its entirety, and look for even more in 2023 because it seems like this bubble is not bursting anytime soon. We love watching the rope horse side of things, and anybody who knows me knows that this is my passion project. I'm sure if you listen to this podcast, you can all tell. So thank you again to Resistol, to Fastback Ropes, to Cactus Ropes, to Cactus Saddlery, and Equinety for all the support all year long covering the horse market.
Was there a moment this weekend that will, you've told me stories about the first U.S. finals. You've told me stories about the first World Series finale. Is there a story, a moment that 20 years from now we'll be telling about this event? Anything that really stands out in your mind?
Hey, something that stands out in my mind, and I don't know if this is what you're fishing for. I don't know what you're fishing for, and I don't want to get myself in a trap here, but I haven't been to a roping really for like 20 years or whatever you told me and Quinn about. But anyway, and I've been in the horse business, so it isn't like I've been away from it. But one of the things that I was so amazed at being here was, my memory's quitting me because it's so long ago that I was going to these ropings, but there was a handful of women back in the day that rope pretty good. There is a whole bunch of girls that look like, you don't have to make a case that they deserve to be here. They're the real deal. Not just in the breakaway roping, but in the team roping. I was like big time impressed about how many women can really rope.
Yeah, Brooke Wilson yesterday put on a clinic, huh?
She did, and there were some other girls that were real effective here too, and that's just another thing that going clear back that the U.S. and the World Series has built to be able to have women like that in our industry, and they're awful good with those horses, and they bring a whole new clientele with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Denny, now you got to go watch the short round here just right now, but I'm going to ask you, what does this mean to you at this point of your career now? What does this first event and now this association or this stallion incentive mean to you now?
I've wanted to do something with the horses forever because that's the common denominator on all these disciplines and everything, and never really have had a chance to do it. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. Everything else I did was extremely serious and had an intent, and this one here is a little bit more lighthearted and more trying to put something back into what we've done all these years, and so this is going to mean a lot to me, but in a really different manner. It's not something we got to do, it's something we want to do.
I love it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Chad was sneaky. He was kind of lingering around as I was talking to Lance and Denny. So we didn't get to talk to him together. He was kind of trying to be incognito, and I did trap him in an interview after. So enjoy this with Chad, who is one of the founders, again, of the Riata Buckle.
Chad, you got nominated to come up here last because you're the most important, I think.
I doubt that's true.
Okay, tell me introduce yourself to the Team Roping world.
Well, so again, Chad Beus, my wife Tiffany, and I started this whole model in the show world. So I think it was 14 years ago, we came up with the idea to do the Stallion incentive model. We launched it in the show world. That's where we kind of came from. We raise halter horses, and we've done a lot of other things too, race horses and a little bit the thoroughbred thing. But we've ran that for about 10 years. And then Lance Robinson and I have been really good friends. We do a lot of stuff together. We have a biotech company together and so forth. We talked for a long time about doing it in the barrel racing world. So we launched the Pink Buckle. A couple years later, launched the Ruby Buckle, and that led us to where we are today with the Riata too.
And did you just get here? Is this your first day of this, or have you been here?
Oh no, I've been here, but I had to go to the World Show. I had meetings with AQHA and the Heritage Place sale.
It was huge, yeah.
Yeah, so I've kind of been in and out.
Yeah, it's been a really busy week in the horse industry.
It has been
Holy cow.
really busy.
That's what people were saying. There were people on my flight from Denver over here that were all like, hey, where are you going? And it was all a different answer for all of the different people that were all in the Western industry.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. Tell me, what's your take? I guess this is the last day. What do you think about all this?
Well, I was a little apprehensive because my background isn't in the roping where Lance and Denny, that's kind of their world. So I didn't know what to expect. I've got a lot of friends. I've sold rope horses to rope people. I mean, I've been around it my whole life, but I didn't exactly know what to think. And I was really pleasantly surprised. There's always a few hiccups the first year, getting all the systems right and everything, but for the most part, I couldn't have been happier.
How does this first event compare to the other firsts that you've had?
So the Pink Buckle, the first year of the Pink Buckle was really small, mostly because people just didn't, honestly, I don't think they believed we'd pay out the money, and they didn't know who we were. So it was pretty small, but then from then it went really, really well. The Ruby Buckle, because we'd had 2 years with the Pink Buckle, of course it started off really strong.
Do you have any comparisons of the rope horse industry to the other industries you're involved in at this point? Like any things you've learned in the last 6 months, a year?
I'm not sure if I've learned. I think I probably knew that the rope horse people and barrel horse people and show horse people they couldn't be more different.
Right.
Especially the barrel horse people and the team roping people. So I kind of knew that coming in. I think we have different hurdles to get over in the rope world than we had in the barrel industry. I think the nomination process is going to be a struggle for some of the rope horse people, just keeping it straight in their minds, realizing it has to be every year and being organized. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure you don't.
Sounds completely foreign to me.
But we'll do our best to help them, so it'll be good.
Very good. And what kind of crew have you put together as far as the office staff? It's been pretty skeleton crew making this all happen, right?
It really has been.
Yeah. Very good. Well, what is your hopes and dreams for next year as far as the Riata Buckle goes?
Just growth. Again, so the model is really based to help stallion owners and breeders. That's what our whole program's about. Of course, the team ropers are important, but for me especially, I deal with the stallion owners, the breeders, and that's what I really want to see them breed more mares, sell their babies for more money, and see that success outside of the arena, because that's what's really important to me.
Very good. Well, is there anything else you want people to know about the Riata Buckle?
Thanks for coming, and we appreciate the support.
Thank you. This has been so